Good day. In this session, we will look at the issue of managing projects. Our learning objectives will be to understand the concept of the work breakdown structure, to understand the use of Gantt charts, to understand networks and critical path analysis, to understand the concept of PERT and slack. Strategy implementation, after all, is the implementation of a whole series of activities. A whole series of activities which are connected to one another. Activities which have to be done in a certain order. Activities which are expected to take a certain time. Activities which require a certain amount of resources which can be predicted, right? So, strategy implementation is the process by which a number of related activities are set into motion. Therefore, we can use techniques of project management in strategy implementation, because project management is nothing but the process of managing a number of activities with interlinkages where the time and cost of these activities can be predicted. So, let's use the project management approach to facilitate the process of strategy implementation, right? Strategy implementation is a process. Any process which consists of several activities, several distinct activities, interlinked activities with a certain order of precedence, any such activity, any such process can be handled through the project management approach. What is the first step in the project management approach? The first step is the work breakdown structure, creating a work breakdown structure. Work breakdown structure is WBS, right? This is the first step. What do we do? How do we do this? We look at that whole process. So we are talking about strategy implementation. So we look at that process of strategy implementation and break it down into different activities. That's step one. Now, step two is, for each activity, we determine the resource that would be required. This is an estimate of the resource that would be required. Third, we estimate the time that will be required for that activity. Then there is the sequence of activities, meaning which activity comes first and which activity comes thereafter. And finally, there is the question of interrelationship between activities. Certain kinds of activities can start only after certain other activities are over, right? So, this is called the work breakdown structure. Let's take an example. Let's say that the strategic option that we have chosen is enter a new market segment. Enter new market segment is the strategic option that we have chosen. So, when we talk about strategy implementation, we are talking about implementing this process. Enter new market segment. Now, let's create a WBS for this. We start by breaking up this enter new market segment into activities. Then we estimate time for each activity and we estimate the resources required for each activity. Let's say if you want to enter a new market segment, you need to first assess competition. You need to assess the degree of competition in that segment. You need to assess the need of dealers in that segment, because after all, different market segments have different kinds of dealers. The distribution channel is not the same in different kinds of market segments, and therefore the needs of dealers are different in different segments. Then you need to initiate a dialogue with the dealers, right? And so on. So let's say that we have from activity A to G, we have from activity A to G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We have so many activities which together form this, enter the new market segment. That's what we have done here. Okay, we've created a chart which is the WBS, where we have listed out the activities from A to G. We have listed out the time for each activity and the resource that we expect the activity will require. We have talked only about the money as the resource, but like money there are other resources. For instance, people, manpower is one resource, right? But since we are looking at an example, we are looking at money as the resource that is required. Okay, activity A, 3 months, 6 lakhs. B, 5 months, 3 lakhs. C, 2 months, 4 lakhs. D, 1 month, 4 lakhs. E, 6 months, 5 lakhs. F, 3 months, 6 lakhs. And G, 3 months, 3 lakhs. So there is one more thing left in the WBS, and that is the precedence relationship. Okay, now you will recall activity A was looking at competitive spread in that segment. Activity B was looking at dealer needs. Now clearly activity A and B can start together. Okay, activity C was initiating a dialogue with dealers. So activity C can start only after activity B, right? Now in this way we find that activities are all interlinked. For instance, activity D and E can start only after activity A is over, but they can start at the same time. Activity F can start after activity D is over. Before activity G can start, activity C and activity E must be over. Now, when activity G is over and activity F is over, when both the activities are over, the project is over. So the project begins with activity A and B starting off, and the project ends with activity F and G finishing. That is the project. Now what we have done so far is to create the work breakdown structure.